Hello, everybody. Welcome to your Championship hot takes for round 10. We are back from international break 2. And the idea that the Championship is open and anybody's and up for grabs ain't going away, is it? Coventry and Middlesbrough doubling down in the top 2. West Brom and Millwall into the top 6. Hull and Charlton into the top 10. Yet again, none of the 3 Year 1 parachute teams are able to win on the same round. Sheffield United off the bottom and Norwich lose at home again. Get down there in the comments if you were at a game, across a game. Just get down there in the comments, whatever you were doing this weekend. Let's start at the top. One thing I will say about this championship season that is getting fairly predictable is that we start these shows with Coventry. They do at the moment, while everyone else is trying to get their house in order, look like the ones, don't they? And this was a really encouraging win for Coventry against Blackburn. It was Coventry 2, Blackburn 0. And this is the kind of damning with faint praise thing. Frank Lampard said that was kind of his favourite victory of the season because we've got used to Coventry making 500 chances in a game and scoring 3 or 4 goals and blowing teams away. And 29 goals already this season in 10 games. But this one was a bit of huffing and puffing, and they needed a bit of quality, didn't they? It went into the second half, and a couple of quick goals, both from the edge of the box, half volleys from Torp and Thomas Asante. And yeah, I'm looking down here. They only made 0.88 XG, which for Coventry is a complete no-show. They normally make about 2 or 3 per game, don't they? So you'd probably be really pleased if you're a Coventry fan here. There's a quote I always go to for this from Paul Merson, who won the title twice when he was at Arsenal. He says, don't think you play well every week when you win the title. You really don't. You play well in probably less than 10% of your game. And Merson's point about playing well was, everything just knits together. The other team has nothing. You make loads of chances. You can afford to miss chances and everything's fine. But the majority of the time, you do have to accept that there's another team on the pitch trying to stop you winning. And you just have to get the job done. And a bit of a sense, Coventry, clean sheet, home. They've got really good attackers, haven't they, Coventry? And I think Torp and Thomas Asante both got 5 or 6 goals already. So, yeah, just really, really encouraging for Coventry. Obviously, they are still unbeaten. And this is something I want you all to track for Coventry. That is 62 points from 30 games. And we do this sometimes. We track a points total across 2 different seasons. And sometimes it doesn't work out. And you can plot somebody 46 games between 2 seasons and they have a promotion total here. But then, they might drop off in the actual season that we're existing in. But we are going to be getting up to that 46 game mark and looking at Coventry, where you can then say over the period that would be an entire championship season, can they put up the 85 or 90, whatever it's going to be? I mean, if I'm sat here opening the show today saying it's open and up for grabs, how can I say 90? It might well be 85 to get you promoted this season automatically. And Coventry are giving us the evidence. Can they knock that out over 46? And then can they do it not over any 46 games, but in the 46 games, between August and May this season? It looks like it. They look the most likely, don't they? We're going to come on to all the Year 1 parachute teams who you'd think would be the big challengers, who just are still not, Leicester aside maybe, not getting it together, are they? For Blackburn, I mean, we do say often, Blackburn, they showed up, they were all right, they were in the game, they lost the game. There's a lot of that, isn't there? And Big Val comes on the interviews at the end and there's this reason and that reason, and that's all good and well, isn't it? But then you need to win at some point, don't you? And Blackburn are not winning. Blackburn are in the bottom 3, aren't they? We're going to talk about an Oxford win this weekend, which is a problem for Blackburn. And yeah, since the unfortunate event that we've talked about lots and lots in the last month, 1 point in 4 games. So, yeah, not looking good for Blackburn. Let's move on, or move back to Friday night. It was Middlesbrough 2, Ipswich 1. We did this as the watch-along, so if you want any real-time reaction to this, you can go back on the channel in the archives, and we watched the whole game together. And I have to say, in the first half, what a ludicrous spectacle it was. A completely championship-y, bonkers sort of 15, 20 minutes before half-time, where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the game flipped from Ipswich kind of being slightly in control, but Middlesbrough nicking the ball on the transition and showing a threat, to Middlesbrough having 7 shots in 5 minutes and Alex Palmer making 3 amazing saves. To Ipswich, I think then they had a penalty shout to start all this off, and then Ipswich do get a penalty themselves. They missed the penalty, and then Middlesbrough take the lead in first half stoppage time with an own goal. Just absolute carnage. What I'll say about Boro, I've done them a couple of times on the watch-alongs, and their timing is bloody good, Boro. In the West Brom game, they just turned up at exactly the right point, nice and stable and solid, and then in the penalty box at the other end, nicked a goal at the right time, and the second one for Whittaker really killed it off. So first goal for Whittaker for Boro, that's a good thing. If Rob Edwards can solve that situation where people had the idea that Whittaker wasn't a great signing and that he had a poor attitude or what have you. If he can get him playing, he's a good player, Whittaker. He's a one-trick pony player, isn't he? It was a damn good trick if you can come in off the side. We praised Fatawa at Leicester for doing it all the time, smashing one in top bins. He used to do that for Plymouth a lot, didn't he? He gets the goal. I think Edwards should take a lot of credit for this victory. Ipswich get one back from a set play. But I did have that feeling when that second goal went in, watching it. It was like, oh, that's killed it, hasn't it? Middlesbrough then. The game state just went whoop like that, and the confidence levels went in opposite directions. They went to the back 4, didn't they? They had the game plan dead right. And I've got to say, I don't want teams to do this because I'd like Ipswich to win as many games as possible this season with my allegiances. But looks like you can be brave against Ipswich when you're playing against them at home. Go and press them. Pattern of play is not clicking for Ipswich yet at all. Boro are very good at home. Ipswich are not very good away. Boro got 13 points out of 15 at home. They're extremely good. Ipswich have no wins away. Do you know, Ipswich could actually have 0 points away from home at this, quite lucky late goal against Birmingham. They were behind at Bristol City as well, and they've lost the other 2 now, this one, and they lost at Preston as well. To be fair, when you list those fixtures, there's been a few tricky away trips, but the fact remains Ipswich are not very good away from home, and their points total is completely padded at home. And, when we talk about this narrative this season, Ipswich are a very big part of a narrative that says the year 1 parachute teams with that financial advantage normally dominate. And we're going to come on to Southampton. I think we're doing Leicester in 2 games' time. Just not there. Ipswich with 13 points from 9 in 12th place, and Southampton with 12 points from 10 in 16th place. There's a load of numbers for you in quick succession. Just not holding it up. And therefore, if you are Middlesbrough and you have a manager who's gone in, looked at it, been a bit pragmatic with the 3 at the back, now switched it to 4, managed to keep the starman central midfield, Hackney to keep him and Morris together. There's some attacking players come in, Sen and Hansen and Strelec as well. You can leverage a really good home record. If the points totals come down away from where they've been the last 2 seasons, you can get a promotion off the back of just really good home form. Scrap what you can away from home. Looks positive for Boro, doesn't it? And they are at 2 points per game at round 10 there. 21 for 10. So, yeah, impressive stuff. Let's move on to Stoke, who got their first win in 4, I think. I'm going to do this until this sort of streak stops for Stoke. Last 7 here for Stoke. This binary code. 0-1, 1-0, 0-1, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1, 1-0. So we've said it now for a few weeks. We've picked up on this, that all Stokes games are under 2.5. They're low margin. There's not a lot in it. And they beat Wrexham 1-0. Thomas, kind of forces the goal in. By the way, who was it for Wrexham? Was it Longman, the wing-back, coming in? Oh, my God, it's virtually it is an open goal, isn't it? I know it comes at him fast, but championship-level professional footballer, open goal at 0-0. When you know Stoke is so low margin and that first goal is going to be so vital. We know in 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 7 games that Stoke have been involved in, the first goal has won the game. That has been that. It's been so tight. Let me know if you're a Stoke fan. I'm sure you're pretty happy with it. It is low margin, as I say. There's probably not going to be deluges of goals, but Stoke have only lost 2 games all season, haven't they? And they're up there in 3rd position. It's a good debate. How far are they off Middlesbrough? I'm using a lot of the same descriptions for both sides. I think Boro have probably got a little bit more going forward than Stoke have. Maybe Stoke with Manhoef and Thomas, it's locked into 2 players. But then again, I'm saying about Leicester that Fatawu could carry them to a promotion. Why can't I say that about Stoke and their sort of wide attacking players? It's hypocritical to say it for one and not the other. So, I do still maintain, I think Boro have got a little bit more there through the pitch in terms of the quality. But Stoke are right up there. Stoke have got an excellent manager. I mean, look, remember in the season Luton went up, it was Robbins and Edwards, wasn't it, at Coventry and Luton, and now they're at Boro and Stoke. I wonder if they're going to be battling it away again this season in some shape, form or fashion, either in the playoffs or in the automatics. We shall see. But yeah, they're there, Stoke, and in a door open season, just stay there, hang around, get up to Christmas, and we can all see where we are. And you're in a promotion race, Stoke, very, very much so. 3rd place at game 10. Wrexham, this is one of these ones where you look at draws, and if a little drawing run is followed by a win, you're very positive. And we were saying 5 unbeaten going into this. If you then lose, you're immediately going from 5 unbeaten to it's 4 winless. So that is the state of play for Wrexham. I know they've had to go away here, and maybe that can ride itself out in the 3-game week that we're now working into. But normal comment for Wrexham. Parky, he's only ever a couple of games from being questioned about the gig, and Wrexham are down there in 18th. And as I say, I can flip that script with the drawing run to now say 4 without a win. Only 2 wins all season. He's never going to be far away from anyone saying, need a win, Phil, you need a win. And yeah, let's say it, you need a win, Phil, coming up in this midweek. Who have Wrexham got? They've got Oxford. They'll fancy that. They're next to Oxford there in the league table. Right, Leicester 1, Portsmouth 1. And this is our first of the year 1 parachute teams we're talking about. And again, someone tell me in the comments how many rounds they've been out of the 10 where we've said Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester, none of them have won. It feels like I've come on and said that 3, 4, 5 times already. I don't know. Someone check me in the comments on that. So Leicester are 8 unbeaten, but it's 5 draws in 6. If you're a Leicester fan, you're probably like, we're drawing too many games. But if you're looking at the Championship as a whole, well, if it's a low points total and you just need to be hard to beat and just hang around there while things develop, then I don't know. Maybe the devaluing that draws normally bring, it's okay. They've only lost 1 game, Leicester. It's only Coventry with that unbeaten start that can say they've lost fewer games than Leicester City. However, if you were Leicester looking in, if you're a Leicester fan looking at fixtures, and I mean, in those draws, yeah, you've got Coventry and West Brom, but you've also got Oxford, Wrexham and Pompey. We like all of them, but they've all been in League One recently, and, Leicester's kind of credibility as a long-term Premier League team, they'll be thinking, all right, those games are ones where you can get wins when you're a year 1 parachute team. Didn't manage to get it done. Ramsey with the opener. Leicester 1, Pompey 1, by the way, if I haven't said that already. Ramsey with the opener. I think it's an absolutely brilliant goal, by the way. I know he's very close in, but to sort your legs out and flip yourself up horizontally to somehow direct that into the goal. It's not about the shot. It's about your physicality. Can you just put yourself in a position to control the ball? I think it's a great goal from Ramsey. But they can't go on and win the game. Swift, nice one. He must give the keeper the eyes because it doesn't look like he hits it that hard with the left foot, but he puts it back into the corner, and Pompey get the equaliser. By the way, Portsmouth only one away defeat, which was Ipswich, wasn't it? And they've got draws at Southampton, West Brom, and Leicester. I said this in the bold predictions about this weird paradigm shift at Pompey, where they'd been brilliant at home last season and not that great away. They're doing the other bit this season. They're going away to hard places and picking up points like this one, and then not necessarily being the amazing home team yet that they were last season. But I'm sure Mousinho, if you go into a 3-game week and you're playing later than everybody away at Leicester on the Saturday and you go away with a point, you're right, great, well done, lads, right, back to Fratton, set these things up. I'm assuming they're back at Fratton and they're not going away home, although I've just noticed, I think it's Coventry, so it's not an easy one. But the point remains, whatever is going to happen in midweek against Coventry, that's still a really, really strong start to the week for Portsmouth. So, yeah, I think it's about sorting home things out for Pompey, and it's clearly about sorting draws out for Leicester. But it's not the biggest jump for Leicester to turn... Well, look, if they turn 2 of those into victories, 2 of the draws, and it was 6 and 3 and 1 in the wins, draws, losses, then they'd be up there tied with Boro. So it's not a big margin that Cifuentes, who may be setting up a little bit more pragmatic, it's not a big jump where they become an automatic chasing team. And, sorry, Leicester fans, to bore you, but there is still that thing of, do we get a points deduction in the next international break? I've said that in every international break so far. The EFL, Premier League, whoever's fixing all that data and kind of sanctions, taking their sweet time, aren't they? Leicester 1, Pompey 1. Get your views in on all of those 4. Coventry 2, Blackburn 0, Boro 2, Ipswich 1, Stoke 1, Wrexham 0, Leicester 1, Pompey 1. Big win this for West Brom. West Brom 2, Preston 1. Why? Because Preston had started really well. Kind of a top of the table sort of playoff clash, wasn't it? And West Brom, I mean, it's 2 wins in 3 now. You talk about this. They hadn't won at home since the opener as well. And a bit of a sense that West Brom didn't have that winning team mentality by virtue of the fact you watch them, they're kind of in games and then, they don't get the results. But they turned up in this one. Mikey Johnston, what a player. We love him, don't we? In off the left, smashes one in right foot. And I think Osmajic went through 1v1. Was that at 0-0 as well? So it's not that Preston didn't have their chances in this game. And what I will say about Preston as well, the idea they're home flat track bullies is it's kind of not really the one. They had a real good go at West Brom away from home in this one. I know they've come away with the defeat, obviously. Price, he was the guy, wasn't he? The hot hand in the first couple of weeks of the season. He's back in the goals here. Excuse me. He gets the second. Smith gets one back for Preston at the end. First defeat in 6 for Preston. And it's all malleable in the playoff positions that you now have Preston drop to 8th and Boro go up to 5th. So, we'd switch a Rooney in the playoff positions. Let's be fair about this. Any of you kind of championship enthusiasts trying to figure out the playoff race, we don't have a clue. It's very, very open. And I do wonder I don't know whether it'll be for 5th and 6th place, but it could be one of those seasons where you're going in, I don't know, Easter time, 4, 5, 6 games from the end of the season, and there's still a realistic chance that it could be these two, or these two, getting those final places. It feels like that right now. You don't know. Someone could get their act together and go on a run, and we get a gap between 6th and 7th maybe, but that's the way I'm feeling about it now. So, good win for West Brom. Preston will be pleased to get back home for the remainder of the 3-game week. QPR 1, Millwall 2. This was the early Sky game. Ivanovic is back. Back and in the goals. First one since May. It was actually the second goal. Aziz gets the first one. QPR Burrell getting one back towards the end there. Really good win for Millwall. As I say, it's been a big pivot, hasn't it? We started the season. Ivanovic probably was one of the most hyped strikers in the Championship this season. He was certainly the kind of hipster pick, wasn't it? If everyone already knew about Sargent, say, at Norwich, and it was very much, what about Ivanovic? He's young and European at Millwall, a club where they're constantly on the edges of the playoffs, actually in the playoffs right now after this victory. And I'm getting a sense with Millwall, if they're in games, they get something. Now, I don't know what that says. On the one hand, Millwall could be lucky and just get something out of games. Could be that Alex Neil's a good manager. And when he's served up with, right, you're in the game this much, he's able to churn that into results, like that draw at Charlton, you could have lost that game. And these ones where quickly, bang, bang, 2 goals in the first half, go and get the win. Remember them doing it at Norwich as well on opening day as well. You could just say the players have got good mentality and there's a good culture at Millwall to just go there and get the wins. But you know what it's like? You go away from home, you get those 2 goals in the first half. You're really amped up in that halftime dressing room. This is there. This is a win. Just be tight. Don't collapse in the second half. This is a win. And Millwall have been good at that. And frankly, when you look at it, only the top 2 have won more games than Millwall in the league this season. Millwall win games when Millwall are in games. QPR, it's disappointing, but super run. The Super 6 for QPR. Remember, after the ghastly 7-1 defeat, they'd gone 14 points from 6. You can't keep that up forever, but they're going to want to go on another good run here. Disappointing start to what is, and we've said it many times in the build-up to this block, it's a mad run, isn't it? 3-game week, midweek off, 3-game week, international break. Here we go again, in the words of Whitesnake. Sung that in the 80s, didn't they? Thoughts in the comments on QPR and Millwall. Norwich 0, Bristol City 1. We must pay credit to Bristol City, but everyone's just going to be talking about Norwich here and the just misery that club is having at the moment. But let's talk from the Bristol City point of view. First win in 5, and they're up in 7th. Let me challenge you, Bristol City fans. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm looking at the Bristol City wins, and it feels like Bristol City have been very good when they've played a beleaguered team. If you look at it, they had Sheffield United under Sellers on first day. That was the first win. They won 4-2 against Hull. Does that count? 3-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday are going to be beleaguered all season. And they've beaten Norwich now. So it feels like, tell me if I'm wrong, Bristol City fans, that they've been very good this season for those 4 wins they've picked up, that when they've been favourites and they've been up against a team, who's in a bit of a funk, they've gone and got the result, which is a good quality. You'd rather have that than not, wouldn't you? However, if we want to see a Bristol City playoff repeat, they're going to have to turn up and, 50-50 game, go and win them. And there's lots of draws in there. Charlton, Derby, Preston, Ipswich. I mean, to be fair, drawing away at Preston and getting a draw against Ipswich aren't shocking results. But just tell me your thoughts on that, Bristol City fans, whether you just need to see more in the 50-50 games and these very championshipy games where you're sorting the ladder, aren't you? Often between about 5th place and 14th. And the teams that can win those, let's say they're head-to-heads between a chunk of teams that big, but you know what I'm saying? The teams that can get 6 or 7 wins in those games across the season, they're the ones that finish in the playoffs, aren't they? Right, have I praised Bristol City? Mark Sykes with the goal in this one. Clean sheet away win. Well done, Bristol City. But we have to talk about Norwich. And, I mean, I don't know what the Norwich higher-ups were wanting. Well, of course I know. They were wanting a win, weren't they? Obviously, it's been terrible at home for Norwich. And this is now 0 points. It's 5 defeats out of 5 for Liam Manning. And as Sam Parkin points out on the Championship check-in about this Norwich run, yes, you might get the most hardened, positive, invested supporters in the away end at away games following Norwich. But those season ticket holders, that broader audience at Carrow Road, you cannot serve up defeat after defeat after defeat. And you can have as many excuses, and you can talk about the director of football and the recruitment's not been good, and has Manning not got the players. You could talk about the culture in the dressing room like Manning did. He said they're too nice. You know, they're not having their way in games, and they need to battle stronger and do the intangibles and all of that stuff. You can say all of that, but if the paying public at Norwich work their backsides off all week, turn up at the weekend, and their team loses at home every week, big problem that will result in changes. And we all know players aren't going, director of football's not going. It will fall on Liam Manning's shoulders, and it's a horrible one. It's his former club, isn't it? Liam Manning, Bristol City beating him, and you just have that feeling. Now that goal goes in last sort of 15 minutes, wasn't it? And didn't watch the whole game, just watched the highlights prepping for this. You got the sense, oh, it's coming. The goal's coming. I'm sure those Norwich fans were there saying, this team at the moment with this mentality and this fragile confidence, when you're going into those last 20 minutes and Bristol City will be smelling blood, all those Norwich fans are probably all sitting there thinking, yeah, there's a goal coming here, isn't there? They're going to score. And lo and behold, Sykes sticks the goal in. Norwich lose again. We're in a 3-game week, so nothing, I don't think, drastic's going to happen, is it, surely? With 2 games coming up, would that be the right thing to do? But really like Liam Manning, I really do. But it's obviously not unreasonable to be having the conversation that with Norwich in 20th, they're 1 point off the relegation, 3 straight defeats, 0 points at home, that a change is coming off the pitch if a change is not forthcoming on the pitch. Let's move on to Charlton versus Sheffield Wednesday. Charlton get the win. They move up to 9th, 1 point off Bristol City, who we've just spoken about. 1 defeat in 6. And Charlton are doing a very good job of, sometimes, you know, we do the predictions on the channel here, don't we? And Charlton, you kind of know what you're going to get. You look at the game, and if it feels like they're in a position to win it, they tend to win it. If you look and you think, oh, that might be tricky for Charlton, maybe they don't get the win. But it's very Nathan Jones, isn't it? It's very honest, and you know what you're going to get. And when they're at home to beleaguered Sheffield Wednesday, who are now bottom, get the job done, get the win. Jones said it was hard fought, but they got the 2 goals before half-time, didn't they? By the way, Bree, we're going to talk about Southampton not being able to score a bloody goal. Bree, who's a fullback, wing-back, 5 goal contributions in 6 games, and a hell of a David Beckham-like delivery here for Burke's goal to make it 2-0. Who scored the opener? Carey, the opener for Charlton, and then just too difficult for Sheffield Wednesday. They get a red card in the second half as well. They are now bottom Wednesday, 1 win in 10. And look, we were worried again in international break. And I don't know whether it's the news cycle going quiet, but the attention kind of turns a bit on Mr. Chansiri, doesn't it? And people haven't been paid. And I think the BBC in Sheffield were talking about HMRC's latest kind of input into the situation at Sheffield Wednesday. And then we get back on the pitch and it's too much, isn't it? It's really too much. And the stat I've got for you today on Sheffield Wednesday, they have conceded 2 or more goals in 8 out of 10 of their games. So if you extrapolate that through the season, that you're going to need to score twice to even get a point, ergo, you're probably not going to win 8 out of 10 of your games. I don't know what 80% of 46 is. You can do that pretty quickly. You are definitely going to get relegated in that situation. And as much as we can talk about Wednesday exceeding our expectations and being in games, you're still conceding 2s and 3s most weeks. 22 goals conceded in 10. It's going to be way, way too difficult. And just mentally for those players, how far in the season can they get where they've still got that siege mentality? You need to be able to see a light at the end of the tunnel, or else it's going to kind of collapse. And I don't know whether it's a big deal going bottom finally, whether there's, okay, we're stuck now. I mean, you tell me, will Sheffield Wednesday now be bottom for the remainder of the season? Points deductions or no points deductions? Will they now settle their 1 win in 10 and conceding 2 goals in 80% of their games? It's a struggle. It's a big struggle. Right, let's move it on. Just quickly before I change the slide. Yeah, get your comments in there. West Brom beating Preston, Millwall beating QPR, Bristol City beating Norwich, and Charlton beating Sheffield Wednesday. Hull have appeared in 10th spot in the table. Hull have 10 points in 5 games. How about that? Did I expect to see Hull in 10th? No. Doing rather nicely, aren't they? And they've got a lovely 3-2 win over at Birmingham. So, yeah, back-to-back wins for Hull. And I suppose nice for them to score 3 goals. And McBurney not getting any of them. Own goal, okay. Slater and Gelhardt on the breakaway as Birmingham are chasing a 3-2 win, by the way, with Birmingham chasing. So, again, we're going to do the same thing we did with Bristol City and Norwich. We're going to give the Hull fans, they're going to want their team to be praised, and we've praised them. And 10 points in 5. You know me, 2 points per game over any sample size bigger than 1 game. I'm happy with that, and I'm positive about your team if they're doing that. Over a 5-game sample size, you're like, oh, okay, Hull are in good form. Hull are on a decent run. Can I just couch that by saying I did watch the Sheffield United game, and they nicked that for this back-to-back, and that could have gone other ways, couldn't it? And this one, we're about to talk about Birmingham being hapless. So, yes, back-to-back, but Hull fans tell me, if you play those games, those 20 times, how many times are you coming away with 6 points from the 2? I'm not sure, but look, the form is good for Hull, and we have praised them. But now we've got to say that Birmingham are hapless, aren't they? They are hapless, Birmingham. They are finding ways to not get anything out of games, aren't they? And I'm talking about wins and, this winning machine last year. Birmingham is anything but this year. And I say hapless. We've got an own goal, a red card, and look, I know Chris Davies is going to come on and do the interviews and say, we did this, and this. We were unlucky in this way. They've come up into the penalty box twice in the first half and scored twice. I get it. He's going to say that. And it might not even be, he's not telling lies, I don't think. However, what does it matter? If that's the game state and you're not winning games from those positions, it's a big problem. Geez, 65% possession, 2.85 XG, 29 shots, and you're not winning the game. And he really called out Jack Robinson, didn't he? So we did the watch along, and Robinson got red carded, didn't he, against Coventry. And Coventry are good, and you could argue, okay, 2 quick yellow cards for 2 quick fouls, learn your lesson, move on. This one, it says two yellows to make a red here, but what has he done? What has he said? Has he got himself? I think they're protesting that they should have got a corner. And whether the ref is right or wrong about an individual corner, not getting a corner is far less significant than having one of your centre-backs red carded. What minute did he get red carded in, by the way, as well? How long did they have to play with 10? Yeah, you've got to play the last 30 minutes when you're 2-1 down with 10 men. So, yeah, watch this space on whether they're going to kiss and make up, Chris Davies and Jack Robinson, or, yeah, whether that's the proverbial straw breaking the camel's back, isn't it? But, yeah, it's not good for Birmingham, is it? And they're so hyped up, spent so much money on players. You see Tom Wagner on Sky Sports saying that the intention is to go at it this season, saying very clearly, and who's he speaking to there? Is he speaking to the other Championship owners? Is he speaking to the Birmingham fans? Or is he speaking directly to Chris Davies there and saying this is what the expectations are? And whether hapless intersects with unlucky and that it could turn or not, they're not meeting the expectations. And, you know, when you got a 1-0 victory over Swansea and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is 1 win in 8 in all competitions. And I do maintain as well, in that 3-game week leading into the last international break, there could have been another defeat in there. Against equalised late against Sheffield Wednesday and were behind at Wrexham as well, weren't they? So, yeah, need some improvement, Birmingham. Else, when we're I always get asked this question in the Q&As, Ben, who do you think the next Championship manager out the door is? I think some people are going to be saying, oh, if Chris Davies, are you heading to Christmas with that Birmingham ownership in 17th place? You need to be moving yourself up the table. So, yeah, be really interested what Birmingham fans are thinking about the current situation and the tension between Davies' quality as a manager, which I think there is, and his capacity to change it over the long term, and Birmingham's owners' patience. Because if they want it done this season, doesn't matter if Chris Davies can do it in 1 year or 2 years' time. That ain't this season, and they won't keep him. So, yeah, tricky one to talk about. Someone's job, someone's life's work, but is what it is. Thoughts in the comments on that. Southampton 0, Swansea 0. How have Southampton not scored in this game? This is absolutely absurd. What did they... we're lies, damn lies and statistics on the show this weekend, aren't we? 3.1 XG. That is criminal to not be scoring. I know they hit the post twice, chance after chance after chance, but they haven't won the game. And Sam was talking on the check-in about will still be looking back at that Ross Stewart injury as the sliding doors moment that killed him at Southampton. I don't know, because Stewart had got back, and was he the kind of conduit for this football that Still is trying to play? Just a big physical player, a finisher, just to get you some goals and get you through a fallow period whilst the rest of the team really settles on the pattern of play. And he's not there, and nobody's scoring any goals. Yes, Cienza, what is he, Brazilian? Is he the lad? Looks good on the wing. Archer's not scoring up top. You've got Armstrong, who is a bagsman if you play him down the middle. He doesn't seem to want to play him down the middle. And as a result, Southampton are not scoring. We'll give Swansea some credit. Obviously, you come away and you say it's a hard-fought draw. It's not a viable clean sheet, is it, when the other team's having 3.1 XG and hit the post twice? And that does feel less like a heroic defensive rearguard performance and more like a completely inept finishing performance from Southampton. But, hey, read it in whichever. I'm sure the Swansea fans getting back on the coaches and in their cars and the trains and everything heading back yesterday would have seen it as, okay, we'll take that. We will very, very much take that. Just quickly on Swansea, got more points away from home than home. So this is all fine if they can throw a couple more home wins into the balance. But to come back to Southampton, it is another year one parachute team that's not quite performing. And it's one of those where, do you believe that Will Still is building a pattern of play that is making lots of chances. They're second for XG, and Coventry's the ones ahead of them who's, a bit of a freak show for making chances and scoring goals, aren't they? Second only to them, top for possession. Is it going to turn? Are they going to get the final product and start winning games? It goes one or two ways. Or if it stays the same and the players aren't buying it, and it's all well and good funneling all your attention into possession and making chances, that can pad the stats. That can sometimes mean you've got an unbalanced team that's doing more in build-up and needs to just be braver, more aggressive, commit more men forward. And, it's the most difficult thing in football to score goals, isn't it? And that's the deal. Effectively, you can distill football management down to your job is to create a team that can score goals, because that's how you win games. You can't score goals, then you have situations like this where you draw 0-0 with 3.1 XG. That won't keep you in a job. That won't get you promoted. Let me know your thoughts. Which path are Will Still and Southampton going to be walking down? Sheffield United are off the bottom. They beat Watford 1-0. Wilder gets his second win as Blades manager, and the other win was 1-0 at Oxford with Callum O'Hare getting the only goal. So that's the good news. They're off the bottom. They've got the second win. The bad news for Sheffield United is they need to do more than be able to win. If the only way they're going to win is a clean sheet win with a single goal, I think there's still problems there. And they've only scored 4 goals all season. So it's fairly obvious that Sheffield United, they're the anti-Southampton, aren't they? Southampton are making loads and loads of chances, not scoring. Sheffield United, strangely, despite the fact they're in terrible form, have actually done quite well to get 2 wins out of 4 goals, haven't they? So, at the moment, it's all about clean sheets and scrapping it. Look, maybe, and Wilder's mentioned this, it's not just going to turn just like that. Maybe it's going to be a slow process to, just forcing some clean sheet wins, and that's the deal at the moment. And then you can work towards being a team that controls games and is more dominant and makes chances and can afford to concede a goal in a game without that killing them, because they only scored, 0.4 goals a game you're scoring. So again, I reiterate, if you're averaging 0.4 goals a game, you've done well to win 2, frankly, haven't you? So that's the obvious deal for Sheffield United. But I think sometimes you just need a win in life, don't you? You just need a win. Like, to use a financial example, if you've got debts and you're trying to sort out your financial situation, sometimes you just need to pay off a small creditor and get yourself a win, don't you? I need to get to the end of this broadcast. I'm struggling. I've had a couple of gigs this week as well. I'm struggling to talk. We're nearly there. Don't worry, one more game after this. So I'll close out on Sheffield United, Watford. Talk about Watford quickly. Gracia in defeat straight away. It's a difficult one, I've said, for Javi Gracia, because people, rightly or wrongly, are going to look at the league table when he came in. And remember, that was off that freakish Petzolano week where they'd somehow bimbled together a 7-point week, which had thrown them right up the table. And people are going to say, oh, the struggle is real, sorry. People are going to say, oh, he was this position when he took over. And that is not a nuanced view on the job that Gracia is going to do at Watford. But yeah, he started with defeat. Watford are 15th. Finally, as I choke my way through the end of this show, Oxford 1, Derby 0. And this is really good from Oxford because, excuse me, we've got used to covering Oxford, certainly in 2025 since Gary Rowett arrived, and they would have scrapped a 1-0 win at home, wouldn't they? And scored from a set play and, just battened down the hatches and all of that. But this one, it's a nice goal created. It's not a set play. Mills with the goal, and they made loads of chances. Played really well. 19 shots, Could have been further up than 1-0 at half-time. Obviously, then it gets a bit edgy when it's 1-0 and, Derby throwing caution to the wind. But if we're looking at an evolution from Oxford away from last season where it was just stay in the division, survive, Volks, throw it in, get set plays onto big Helix head, keep clean sheets, don't get caught behind the ball, keep the ball away from the goal, win 1-0. If the evolution is away from that to something like this where, the wingers scoring a nice goal and they're making loads of chances and it looks reasonably comfortable, and that's a really good thing for Oxford. And yeah, it is a viable way, what they did last season, but if you want to progress in the long term, then I think this is the way. And more power to Gary for going for it. And I'll contradict myself slightly. That is vital, though. The home wins and the first home win they've got this one and the first clean sheet. They will still need, win by hook or by crook in the Championship, especially in 3-game weeks and periods like this. They're still going to need that, so that's important. But it's also very important to control games, make lots of chances and have different ways to win. So, well done, Oxford. Derby aren't very good, are they? And I'm reviewing this now, revising this. I thought Derby were going to be really good this season after the escape last season, after the business. 1 win all season. Nobody in the division has won fewer games than Derby. And they've actually played 12 in all comps and only won 1 game. They're just not winning games, are they, Derby? I know Eustace is kind of tight and it's pragmatic. Normally works, doesn't it? And, I mean, you tell me, are they miles off being Stoke? We've spoken about Stoke, who are 3rd in the table and who've got 10 more points than Derby with the low-margin games. This is the problem with low-margin pragmatic football. You've got Mark Robbins and they've won 5 of the games playing like that. You've got Eustace and they've won 1 of the games playing like that. So that's the difference. How concerned are you Derby fans with this poor run? Guys, I've got to stop there. I literally can't bloody talk, can I? Going to go and drink a litre of water in the other room while you fill the comments up. Get in there and get in there quickly because it's going to move fast this week. 3-game week coming up. So the narrative is going to shift in midweek and then again at the weekend. We're going to be back with the predictions with Sam Parkin tomorrow for midweek. I'll try and do... In fact, let me just tell you, how's the split in midweek? Oh, is it 8 and 4 again? Okay, we will do a hot take show for you on Wednesday morning because we've got 8 Championship games. And then Sam will be back with the predictions on Thursday. How are things going to change? The narrative in the Championship is wide open. Coventry look there. Middlesbrough look good. Anybody's game for playoffs. Anybody's game for top 10. Managers maybe at Norwich, maybe at Birmingham. Under a bit of pressure going into the midweek round. Sheffield United off the bottom. What are we going to be saying in midweek? Get down there in the comments and get ready for a busy week of Championship football.